What is going on, guys? And happy Saturday. We're finally to the weekend. And, because we're at the weekend, I decided that I was going to make a little bit of a different episode today. Um, this is about the NBA playoffs. Yes, this is a football channel, but we are now into the conference finals of the NBA. I'm a pretty avid NBA watcher. I pay attention to the NBA throughout the regular season, and then I tune in a lot during the postseason. I pretty much watch every single game. Um, yeah, I wanted to hit on this because of there's just an insane amount of disrespect right now to two different people on two different teams. First, we have the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers in the West, and the Miami Heat versus Boston Celtics in the East. We'll start with the West. The West has Nikola Jokic. That's who I'm talking about here. There's some reason because Joel Embiid won the MVP award that Nikola Jokic is just. I'm trying to think of what word even fits it. He's not as good, but honestly, that's not really the best way to put it. Either way, there's just an idea that Nikola Jokic isn't one of the top 2 to 3 players in basketball when he's easily the best player in basketball as it sits right now. Um, they talk about how that one game, I think it was game one of the series against the Lakers, he had 2 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and like 2 turnovers in the fourth, and they stopped him. Except every single pass he made was getting to somebody who would then pass it off, a pass to assist, if you know the terminology, excuse me, but a pass to assist on every single play, and he was being doubled, so he wasn't going to score, but it would get to the open guy, and that's how you win basketball games. I mean, I there's more to it than just him putting the ball in the basket, and the fact that he's able to make one pass that leads to so much else. Then this guy, I mean, he's the best player in the NBA right now. It's not really close. I mean, don't get me wrong. Giannis is up there. Joel Embiid, I think he got the MVP honestly because they didn't want to give Jokic a third. He probably deserved a third. Embiid might have deserved it more over Jokic last year, but Embiid is a giant flopping baby who just decides to throw himself around and stat pad. He's like if Russell Westbrook was a center and had a little bit more skill than just athleticism. Because I mean, Embiid's a skilled player. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying Russell Westbrook isn't skilled. He just had a high amount of athleticism that carried him through his career. Either way, um, but yeah, the disrespect in the NBA right now is weird. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense. You wouldn't think the teams that are winning in their series convincingly right now, 2-0, would be in a spot where you could disrespect them. So this will transition to the East side. You know, before I go over there though, they're disrespecting Jokic, saying that oh, AD's doing this and that and the other, but they won both games at home. They took care of business. Which, let's go over to the East side now. The Miami Heat have won 2 games in Boston, and as of this morning, are still a 65 to 35% underdog to advancing to the NBA Finals. What is up with that? I'm going to go ahead and say I am a Miami Heat fan. I have been since 2007, the year after they won the finals with D Wade and Shaq. And yeah, I mean, sure, it could be a little biased, but I really don't think so. If you switch the script, let's say, the Heat were a good team. They were obviously a 1 seed last season. If you switch it around and Boston was the 8 seed this year, but they're a good team because last year they were a high seed. And the Heat were the 2 seed. And Boston wins both games in Miami, there would be a 100% convincing situation that everyone in the like ESPN marketing sports world would think that the Celtics were going to win this series. It'd probably be 85 to 15% chance. But no, the Miami Heat, who won 2 games in Boston, debatably the hardest NBA facility to play in, are 35% chance to make the finals to a 65% Boston team. Boston is bad on the road or at home. They're like 4-4 before this game, I believe. But I don't understand. Jimmy Butler has been. I mean, while Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA, Jimmy Butler has been the best player, in the playoffs, and that's not close. He's had one down game, and that was because he hurt his ankle. Like this guy, I mean, he's and you got to think of what he's doing it with. Nikola Jokic has Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. I would say Bam Adebayo is probably on par with Jamal Murray in terms of just their like talent, all-star level, maybe even a little better. But he doesn't have a third close to Michael Porter Jr. No. And then, like LeBron and AD, it's easy for them. They got two guys, and then they got all their bench players. Jimmy Butler's doing this on his freaking own. Like, he's got Bam. Don't get me wrong. But the problem with Bam is, I love Bam. I love Bam Adebayo. Bam is not an aggressor. You have to ask a lot for Bam to be in an aggressive mood, and that's something that you just don't tend to get too often. When you do get it, it's amazing. If Bam was aggressive on the offensive side of the ball every game, this guy would be the best center in the NBA, and it wouldn't be close. I mean, he'd be better than Jokic. He'd be better than Embiid. His defensive abilities, he can switch. He's probably the only real guy in the NBA who can guard 1 through 5 legitimately. I can't think of another off the top of my head. Maybe Giannis would be another one, but Giannis still can get a little bit tripped up by some saucy point guards. Bam's pretty good. I mean, Bam locks up Curry. There's whatever. I don't need to talk about that anymore. The point is, where is this disrespect? I mean, why is this happening? Why is Jimmy Butler, who, I mean, in all seriousness, is probably a better overall player than Jason Tatum, why can't the team with the better player be considered a victor or a winner or even a front runner? I mean, yes, they're an 8 seed. That's crazy. It's never happened before. But they took out Milwaukee in 5. I don't want to hear about Giannis being hurt. He had a 30-20 game after he came back. He was fine. They could have won those games in Milwaukee. They didn't. The Heat won. The Knicks series, they won in 6. The Knicks are a really tough matchup for the Heat. There's a historical element to that. And then now they're winning 2 games in Boston, on pace to sweep them if they can take care of business at home, which typically you'd say it's easier to win at home. So, I mean, you never know. I would say it'll be a 5 or 6 game series at this point. But how? I mean, what is that's another thing. People are acting like Jimmy Butler isn't even a top 5 player in the rest of these playoffs. They're putting him behind Jokic and AD and LeBron and Tatum and Brown. Well, he's matching up against Tatum and Brown head-to-head, and they haven't done anything better than he has. Jokic, I mean, there's an argument there. I think it's a toss-up between those two as the best player in these playoffs, but whatever. But then AD and LeBron, like, they're helping each other. No, they're not, like I've said before, Jimmy's doing it on his own. Jimmy Butler, talking about strictly Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's a great player, don't get me wrong. Jimmy Butler, outside of three-point shooting, doesn't do anything worse than Tatum does. He's a better true ball handler. He's a better defender. He's a better scorer at the rim. He's a better mid-range shooter. He is more clutch. Other than three-point shooting, what does Jason Tatum do? Better than Jimmy. Excuse me. That's not to hate on Jason Tatum. That's just to tell you how freaking good Jimmy Butler is, even though he's not getting the credit for it. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. I don't really have a ton of a reason. I just was like, I was just kind of annoyed with how I've seen things play out and the disrespect that not only the Heat, but the Nuggets are also getting. The Nuggets are definitely getting less, but the Heat are just not even considered a contender right now when they're handling who was considered a NBA Finals favorite to win the whole thing when the start of the playoffs was around. So I just don't understand. Somebody let me know in the comments. Let me know how you feel about me hitting some NBA stuff. Maybe I'll do this more in the future. Either way, peace.